all, Casey here with CL Creative, where I'm teaching you web design and Webflow one video at a time. And today we are going to talk about how to build with a content management system, specifically Webflow's content management system. Building with collections is super powerful. It allows you to kind of separate the information from the actual build. And that gives you a lot of power because then you're not locked into that particular design. And so today I'm going to show you how to set up the CMS, and I'm going to show you how you can build a team section. This is something that happens on every single website. Most websites have a team that they want to be able to display, and maybe that team grows or shrinks. And so the CMS is a good solution for building out team sections. So let's hop into the computer and I'll show you what I'm talking about. All right, well, here we are in the computer, and what I wanted you to see is this is just a Figma file that I found, and so I can give credit where credit is due. This is who created it, Team Showcases. But I thought that they had a couple of different designs here that we could look at together, and one of the things that you will see is that you can create a number of different teams sections. There's all kinds of ways to display team members. And we're going to make this easy so that in the future, if you wanted to change this design, all you would have to do is go in and change the design. The content would stay exactly the same. And so in each of these scenarios, we can utilize this content to do that. So the first thing that we need to do before we start to build out the content management system is we need to think about what information it is that we want to collect. Okay, so I think that right there will get us started. So what do we need to do now is we need to pop over here to our Webflow project. And in order to access the CMS, all you have to do is go to the Webflow project, click on the CMS right here. You're going to see I already have one created for team, but we're going to create another one here live. So here I'm going to create a new collection by pressing the plus button. Let's see, Team CL Creative. That's what would be better. So we've already got name, but the next thing that we need is we need title. So then you have a number of different fields that you can select from. We're going to use plain text for many of these fields. And so we're going to click plain text and we're just going to title that title. Now, one of the things that you could do is you can create what is called help text. So you can just write in here what you are doing here. So add in the person's title, and then you're going to click save field, and you're going to see what it looks like over here on the right. So we've already got the name, which is pretty self-explanatory. Title, add in the person's title. Next is going to be email. Now, in this particular case, we can actually use the email field. So we can say email, add the person's email. And then one of the things you can do is you can determine, is this field going to be required or not? Now, in our case, I'm not going to make these fields required, but in some instances, when you're building out with the CMS, you may want all of the fields to be required. You may want some of the fields to be required. It really just depends on the design and what your needs are. So the next thing we want to do is phone. So we're going to have phone right here, phone number. Now we want to do our social links. I'm not going to forget this time. So we're going to click on the actual link, and the one that we're going to do is Facebook. That. Now the next thing that we want to do is a short blurb. A lot of times I like to make the short blurb in plain text. I'm going to say short bio. So add a short bio for the person. Keep to 1 to 2 lines. That way it doesn't get too long, and we want people to know that this should be something that is indeed actually short. 1 to 2 lines is all that you actually need here. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to add in the ability to create an entire bio. And I typically do this with rich text, full bio. And then a lot of times what I like to do is add in a note telling them that this is rich text. So there are a number of different options that you have with the rich text field. And we might want to create this as, say, full bio because we have a short bio here. We want to keep our naming convention. Well, then the next thing we want to do is just say an image. Now, in our case, most of this design, if we go back over here, most of this design requires us to have a square image. So you can see these are all square. This is square. In order really to make things with a radius that is full like this, we need the image to be square. The only one it is not square is this one right here. But everything else on this page is pretty much going to require us to have a square image. So what we want to do is we want to make note of that. So something like that, that would give us at least a big enough image to work with whenever we are creating the design. And so the person will know, whoever's going to come in here and add in the image, what it is that they need to do. So we're going to click save, and then we're going to create collection. So now we have our collection here. And one of the things that you can do with Webflow, which can be helpful, is you can generate sample items. That way it gives us something to work with whenever we are actually creating this particular collection. So I'm going to do that just so that we have some content to work with. Maybe you already have a team that is set up on your own, and you would be able to easily add in all of the information that we just did. So this is going to generate for us. It's going to generate those 10 sample items for us in order to be able to work with, and 10 should be enough. Let's go back over here and see how Webflow is coming along. There we go. We have all of our items. So the next step is really going to be for us to actually build this out. And this is really something that's pretty easy to do. So I've just created a sample page for us here, and let's build this one right here. But in our case, we'll change the size. All right, so that's going to be our template that we're going to be working with, and we just need one of them to show. That way we'll be able to do that. So what we need to do is we need to create, or we need to add in a section. All right, now the next thing that we need to do, and this is where the magic really happens, is we need to drop in a CMS collection. You're going to do Command E, and then you can just search collection list. We're going to drop that on the page, and we're going to go to our source, and our source is going to be exactly what we just created. We created Team CL Creative. So we're going to click on that as our source, and you're going to see that we get all of the different people. So here we go. We're going to say Team CL. And then what I like to do is just go through and name all of these so I know exactly what portion of the CMS collection item or collection I'm working with. So we got Team CL list, and then we're going to have Team CL item, and that's going to be our actual person. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that our list here is going to be a grid. And what we want to do is go with a 3-column grid. And we're going to go one row, even though there's multiple rows. These other rows are going to be set from an auto perspective. We're going to go over here to our item. And what we need to do is we need to add in an image. And I'm just going to go ahead and add in the content that we want. So we're going to add in an image. Let's do a paragraph. We're going to shorten that paragraph in a minute, but we're going to duplicate that. Then we're going to duplicate it again because we're going to have the name. We're going to have their title. We're going to have a blurb about that particular person. And then the other thing that we need to do is we need to go over here. We need to grab some of these social icons. And so what we can do is we can highlight that, copy this as an SVG. I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to put in a div. Inside this div, I'm going to put in an embed. So this is how you pull in your SVG. And we'll just leave it at the 36. And that's going to be for Facebook, right? Then we can come in here. We did Instagram, yes. Let's copy this as an SVG. We're going to come back over here to our project. We can go ahead and name this. So this is going to be Team CL social icon. We're going to duplicate that a couple times since we're going to add in a few of them. And then we'll just go back in and paste for Instagram. Now we're going to name this Team CL social wrapper. And we're going to make this flex. We want to make sure that we give it a little bit of a gap. So I'm going to say, how about 0.5 rim on the gap just to spread these out. the other thing that we want to make sure to do, because these are actually links, so we want to make sure that we wrap each of these, and we'll just wrap them in a link block. So you can right click and then click wrap in, and then we can name this link block Team CL, and we'll say social, oops, social link. I'm going to copy that before I create it. I'm just going to click on these others, add this in just like so. Okay, so now we have this. Now this needs to be Team CL. Let's go back to our design that we're working from, which is going to be this one right here. So what we want to do is Team CL name. This is going to be Team CL position. This one right here is going to be Team CL uh, short bio. Okay, so we have all of that, and then we'll name this one Team CL image. And then what I like to do with my images is I like to wrap them. Team CL image wrapper. And then I'll make this position relative. It's going to be 100%. 100%. Well, that will leave that auto. Then this one right here is going to end up being absolute. This is going to be 100% by 100% by 100%. And what we need to do now is make this wrapper. Since I said we're going to be working with a square, we're going to come down here and say square. Now we notice that we do have a radius. So we want to come down on this. The first thing that we want to do in order for this radius to show us, say overflow hidden. And we're going to come down here to our borders, our radius, and I'm not sure what they have, but let's just go with one rim, which is going to be 16 pixels. Okay, the next thing we need to do so that we can start seeing everything is connect all of this up, and then we will finish out some of our styling. So you can click on the image, click on the settings panel, and then you're going to click on this purple dot, and then you're going to choose an image. You're going to notice that they're all going to start showing up. Now, in this particular case, they didn't give us, every person is not an actual person. So that is unfortunate. And you can see that a lot of these are not going to be square. So let me do this. Let me pause, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to actually put in some actual people, and it's going to be in that square. So this is good to see that this is not square. This is not square. This is not square. And it's not going to fit inside of the square that well. Well, let me show you this actually. What I needed to do was I needed to make this cover. Now they're going to fit. Never mind. We're just going to go with what we got. We're going to say we're showing some interesting, unique pictures of people because this video is already getting super long. So we want to come down. Remember, this is our name. So we want to connect name. Then we want to connect our position or title. Then we want to connect our short bio. I'm going to go down here and actually change this to title so that it fits with our CMS. I like everything to match up really well. We want to make sure we click on our social icons here. And in order to set these URLs, we want to click right here, get URL. And we want to make sure we get the right one. This is going to be Facebook. This one's going to be Instagram. And this one's going to be LinkedIn. Okay, now all of these are set for us. Now, if we notice, if we come back over here, we turn back over here, we're going to notice that this is at 20, this is at 16, and this is also at 16. So let's make sure we make all of our styles match up. And this is also bolded. So we're going to click on this one. We're going to go to our sizing. Now I have some of these sizes already set up. with variables. So I'm going to pick, let's see, what is 20? This one's going to be 20. I already have my weights set up with variables as well. So we're going to go with a bold weight. This one should already be set up at 16, and this should already be set up at 16 as well. Now we need to make some spacing adjustments here so we can say our name. Let's look at this and see how far. That is only 4. So those are pretty close together. And if we look at that, that's going to be 16. So from here to here is not going to be a very big change. Maybe we just want to add in a little bit of space. So that's going to be 4. And then from our team title down to our text was 16. So we want to add in 1 rem because 1 rem is 16. So we're going to get some space there. And let's think about where the best spot to put these would be. Let's see what examples we have over here. We've got these listed across the bottom, these listed across the bottom. And pretty much in all instances that they have, those are listed across the bottom. So let's list ours across the bottom as well. And all we will do is we can kind of eyeball this a little bit. It's 0.5. What about 1.7? About there. I think we should actually move these up. Let's see what it looks like here. What about, I don't think it should come before the name or even the title. Maybe down here at the bottom. And maybe the problem is that some of these are too large. So what we need to do is go in here. We should have done this to begin with, but we'll just change these to 100%. Now, the negative thing about doing the embed is you do have to go in and change it for every one of them, but because we are using a collection, we don't have to change that for all of them. We can just change it on one card and it will change it on all the other cards. Now we have the ability to use this as, and let's see, we want to set this at, say, 24. So that will be 1.5 rem. Yeah, I think that will work. We'll set that at 24. We're going to set the ratio on this to square as well. Maybe that's still a little bit small. Let's go to, still gives us a little bit of space here. Okay. We'll leave that down there at the bottom. And then this, we will say, let's do almost a rem on this. Now we want to make sure we work on our spacing between our cards, which we're going to handle here. If we unclick this lock, we can see that we have columns and rows. So maybe we want to set our columns a different spacing. So let's do 1.5 rem. And then on the rows, let's do 2 rem, just to spread that out some. Okay. Now we need to make sure that we put some space in between our image, and we can check that. That's 16. But we're going to go maybe a little bit further than 16. So let's go to our image wrapper. Let's do 1.5. Okay, cool. So now we have this section set up. We've used the information from our CMS to create a number of different deals here. Let's go back to 1. To create a number of deals for our team members. And then all we have to do now is make it responsive. So we can start to pull this in. And I think it looks okay for the whole desktop. For iPad, we still might be able to get away with 3 across. Here, as we get down to our mobile devices, we're going to need to change this. So we can easily just do that by clicking on 2. And whoops, not 24. And then whenever we move down to mobile, we'll probably want to change our columns over to 1. And that's going to give us a fully responsive team section powered by the CMS right there. And of course, we still have additional information in the CMS that we could add. We've got a phone number, we've got an email. We have a number of different things that we can continue to add. But the great thing is that we could create any one of these designs right here from that CMS. We have a number of different options. And then if people came, then all we need to do is add another team member. If one of these team members decided to leave, then we would just remove them and then they would disappear from this page here. So that's all that you need to do in order to work with a CMS in order to build out a team section. I hope that was helpful for you. A little bit longer video, but walking through the build step by step, working with the design, creating the CMS, and then developing that out on the page. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, give me a like. If you want to see more videos like this, you have some other sections that you want me to build, then just put that down in the comments and I'll try to build it for you live here on YouTube.